Good evening, students. Last Good evening, 8th standard students. Last class we discussed about Anandaranga Pillai and where he worked, where he was born, and importance of his work and the book he wrote. Today we are going to see the Europeans and Indians. You would have learned in your early classes that Romans visited South India for trading purposes in the early centuries of Christian era. Back then, trade between India and Europe had been overland. In 15th century, the Europeans began to look for a sea route to India. This was because Constantinople, modern Istanbul, Turkey, the midpoint in the land route between Europe and Asia, was captured by Turks in 1453. The Turks refused to allow trade through Constantinople, forcing Europeans to look for an alternative route to Asia, which could only be a sea route. So, in 15th century, the Europeans started coming to India for trade business, and they came through sea route because the land route, which is called Constantinople, was captured by Turkey, and the first European to enter India was Vasco da Gama in the year 1498. So in this class we have discussed the Europeans who came to India and how India was captured by the Europeans. And in the next class we will further discuss Portugal was the forefront of the European attempts at discovering the shortest sea route to India. The Portuguese royal family encouraged sailors to venture out in the effort. Bartholomew Dias, a sailor patronized by King John II of Portugal, reached the southernmost point of Africa. He did not, however, reach India. Vasco da Gama in 1498 to 1524 was the first European Portuguese, as I said earlier, to reach the western coast of India in 1498 by following direct sea route. He was welcomed by Samuturis or Zamorines as the rulers of Calicut or Colicoid were called. His compatriot Pedro Alves Cabral followed Gama's route and reached Calicut in 1500 with fleet of ships and groups of soldiers. So the Portuguese was the first Europeans to enter India through the shortest sea route, and he was welcomed by the King Zamorin, who was ruling Calicut, which is in Kerala right now, and followed by them. Many of the Europeans followed and reached India with soldiers and ships in 1500. So today we saw about Europeans in India and the Portuguese. So after the king's rule, the first Europeans who entered India was Portuguese. So there started the fight between many Europeans. Europeans means British, Portuguese, Dutch and Daniels. All these people are called Europeans, and they came for the business purpose. They came for trading, especially for masalas, trading masalas. So in 1453, what happened is they tried to come to India through Constantinople. Constantinople is the modern Turkey, which is situated in Turkey. At that time, it was captured by the Turks. So they were not allowed through the land. So what they did was they looked for a sea route, and finally Vasco da Gama in 1498 found a sea route directly which connected to Calicut, and he was welcomed by the Zamorin, as said earlier. So this is the class for today, and your homework will be study and write who came first, and write about Vasco da Gama which is at page number 177. So send it through Hi-Fi app which is provided by the school. Thank you students. We will see you in the next class.